Our second speaker for the evening is Tawahum Bige. Bige.
Oh, you go through the whole thing.
Sorry,
Tawahum Bige.
Thank you, Tawahum Bige. I apologize.
Yeah.
He is from the Xʷməthkվəy, Dene Plains Cree people. He's a poet and spoken word artist on unceded Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh territory. They completed the first ever Indigenous spoken word residency at the Banff Center. Their first collection, Cut to the Fortress Poems, is out this year from Nightwood Editions, the wonderful people at Nightwood, and is here for sale tonight. No further ado, I will turn over the floor to you.
Oh. Tanse, Tawahum Nitsika San Saze, Tawahum Suyi. My name's Tawahum. Yeah, you heard it. I'm from Lutsoke Dene and I'm Plains Cree on my mom's side. Setsi John Thomas, Isidore Thomas, Setsune, Lucy Clee, Ekwanukam Teresa Dume. I'm just calling in those ancestors just to let you know where I'm from, who I'm from. But yeah, I'm here to share some poems with y'all. I absolutely loved everything that Jennifer brought on the stage. I was born and raised in Surrey. I only moved here when I was like 24 and I'm like 29 now. So I've only been here like a good, oh, actually, no, I must've been 22. Yeah, anyway. I know, no, everything you were saying, I'm like, I understand you. I hear you. I feel you, like everything, absolute genius work. Can we just like give another hand for everything we just heard from Jennifer? Yeah. So yeah, I got some poems. I'm gonna just kick it off. This is this one. Sew me back together. Frayed thread, ancestral double helix bloodline. My struggle to untangle a soil-born origin of knit roots. It hurts. Snared by tide, toxic lasso, this choice that was stolen for centuries, the pair of shears that cut me loose, and I too dismembered couplings, severing tendons from friends, parents to lovers, felt cold stained steel blade upon neck, failing to sever, break open, neglect, close, break, a branch, wood strands dangling, computer screen still attached, twisted with victim until the fibers give in, snap. Try to unknot. 7 generations of chicken wire fencing wound up to keep me bound in a lifetime of target. Usurped beating practices. This isn't the way. To learn, to play. Snap 6 strings of a guitar. Sinew string wrapped around my hand. Drum, the handle wrapped around my wrist. Banding friendship brace. Let the threads thicken, strengthen. Braid into my hair something more than just some white man's idea of resiliency. I choose who to weave for. Hold Denebo string bending birch branch. Snap. That's a grappling hook arrow. Attached to 1,000 thread cord. Tug. Pull. Tight rope. Climb. 1,000-foot cedar. Balance. Find. A double helix. Unsever. Blood memory. Remember. See, John. I'll always give you a little time to clap or snap your fingers. You might have noticed me like I don't even know if anybody else is doing it, but like between poems, I like hearing finger snaps too. Whatever feels right for y'all. I didn't even know some people were in the room because like I haven't done a poetry reading like in one of those university spaces in a while, and it kind of freaked me out because they're always so small and intimate, and also school's like a crazy traumatic place for sure. So it's always just strange. So I sat here and I didn't turn around at all. Like I just refused to look at y'all until I came up to the stage. So it's kind of fun actually. This next poem is about, I just got a call from my lawyer today. I haven't talked to her in like months. And I'm like, call from my lawyer, legal stuff. But I love talking to my lawyer. She's great. She's a writer, she's a poet, she's a Sagittarius. And so she can argue, you know what I mean? She's a Sagittarius, she'd be shooting arrows across the courtroom. It's beautiful. Some of my work landed me in jail for doing some land protection work in ceremony. And this poem I wrote in court, and it's called Mr. Beck's New Evidence. Call it the ex-cop diaries of the traveling hierarchies. Needle nose, executive suite. It's conjecture, my lord, but I believe he does cocaine. This man put men in cuffs for 36 years before becoming security manager for Trans Mountain. He dons a Harper haircut and stands with entitlement abreast of red-coated, fur-traded, gold-mined, court-ordered, fort-bordered, drawn-quartered, pox-spreaded, deregulated, wealth-hoarded, mass-sacred, live, backward booze, smuggled gun, holstered, blade scabbard, treaty broker, baby boomer, divide, conquered, townhouse gated, clan faded, children taken, bloodbath weighted, correctly stated, minds erased, and Canadian valued, settler, soldier. Except instead of spreading disease and igniting cannon, he watches cameras and pushes pencils to lay his pipes to rest. See, Joe? Yeah. Trying to think of like what my next poem was. I'm trying to do a few off the top of my head, and then I got a couple that I have written down. And this one's just an easy one to do, but it's just like, it's also nice to share. And it's called Sanctum, and it's after a poet named Julian Randall. And if you ever look them up, their book Refuse is absolutely amazing. It's just amazing, just amazing. Black poet from Chicago. And they have a poem called Palinopsia that this is based on. It went like this. I became stuck in that room. When I say I was stuck in that room, I mean the room was all holes. I wasn't crawling out of the holes. I was rummaging a maze of tunnels. My grief, stricken long before I lost my brother. I scoured drywall cavern through until then. And I knew it about 5 weeks in. I wasn't going to be passing any of my classes, but I did always take my meds. You see, the basement suite, it was a mansion, especially compared to Vancouver now, a playhouse, a home for a clown. I knew what kind of October day it was from the hot, sticky taste of lemon haze tokes from my bright orange pipe. I held my breath for 2 years underground. I lived behind the cemetery and below at 68th and 148th. The room was all grave and I slept. Depression, in bed, on the computer, with friends, or playing games, manipulation. When she climbed into this hole with me, it was only a matter of how many repeated visits before I made her leave. I coughed more than I admit. Whenever anyone climbed into this hole with me, I realized momentarily just how little I wanted to remain. I stopped dreaming. Fantasies blinked on the computer display instead. And at night, street light would bounce down a tunnel, off pebbles, through gravel and oak planks, reflecting against windowsill, and slit into blinds. I'm trying to say that this underground was darkened, yet still somehow there was light, though I seem to remember outages that lasted weeks. I praised the dark and could have asphyxiated rubble fumes still thick on my tongue and nostrils. You see, the day only ever came in streaks of momentary blue. So, with a pack of cigarettes per day or more, I held ceremony to embrace the night. Plastic bag from Safeway, filled with butts and ash, gathering monument in the corner of the room. And I choked out years from my life digging deeper with a rotation of shovels, video games, cannabis, dexedrine, sedatives, and faithlessness. I didn't respond to text. I wouldn't call my sister back. I dropped my classes online without ever leaving the pit. Still received my funding check for November, though. They didn't know. The valley between spine and shoulder blade then became sore. What was I doing majoring in information technology? I would say from a young age, I dreamt of living in a hole. And instead, I breathed life into a nightmare, an agoraphobic labyrinth I both became and was trapped inside of. And when I was finally excavated from those holes, the rattle from gravel unearthed my lungs, gasping. And I cried dust and dust and dust. Let's see, chill. Let's see here. I got poems. Oh, that poem is about Surrey. At Basement Suite in Surrey, 68th, 148th. It was like a 15-minute walk to a bus stop in any direction, like a 15-minute, and like that's if you hoof it, it's 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be 20 minutes if you take your time. You just want to leisurely walk up the hill. You know what I mean? And those buses would come like twice an hour at some point. Like there was a schedule for sure, but they would show up when they show up. I felt so isolated there, and it was wild because everyone just has cars, and it's just like, you don't have a car, just can't get around. But I always loved Surrey Central. There's always a lot of fun there. Wally was a lot of fun. I feel like I partied a lot there. And then when like some Fraser Heights rich kids adopted me a little bit, then we partied over in the rich area with all those rich Fraser Heights kids. It was a good time. Anyway, I'm just telling you random Surrey stories, but I also used to deliver newspapers to a random complex, like across the street and like down this alley from my parents' place. Yeah, Surrey, that superstore on 76. Yeah.
76. And
King George. Oh, and King George.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a superstore.
There's always a superstore. There's only like one here. No, there's like two here-ish. But like in Surrey, like if you were to just go on a walk long enough, you'd find another superstore. It's kind of wild. Like they're like Starbucks in Surrey. I'm hyperbolizing a little bit, but let's find this next poem. I'm just talking some shit. That's what's happening up here. This one first? No, this one first. I'm pissed off about the weird stuff. You know that like we had that big day a few days ago and we all got to make a choice or whatever. That's as much as I'm going to say about it in those terms because I don't want to bring the name in here even. But here are some like older poems that are about this present area that is very applicable to many areas. And this first part is called Pastures. Beneath the hum of ventilation and the rattling from chrome handcuffs and sermons of false redemption, I listen for the land. Not a temple, but a sweat lodge holding this city. Trees and moss and grass inevitably piercing up from below sidewalks, the land holds. A church constructed atop. Godful dreams of propane cathedral hymnal. Priests and altar boys' robes roped, others hung from rafters. I wake to jackhammer symphonies, drill holes, bore holes, and bullet holes percussion, bell tower ricochet, gunshot chime. Whose skinhead? Whose white robe and whose skin bled red? I have been listening to church, those businesses and bigots, schools of thought with body counts. The greatest mortal sin is resistance. Taught to forfeit spirit with obedience, we can call it mind your own business. I can smell under the piss and rotten garbage the land is holding this city before I pass out from lack of oxygen. Wake up from this dream and witness. Halo magic distorted into legislature. UN drip loopholes for construction zone protections, no different than Indian Act proclaiming lesser than persons, or manufacturing belief through terra nullis and doctrine of discovery. The church has found its way onto Wall Street with a choir of environmental degradation choruses. And we sing for our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Distraction day trips to outer city district factory furniture outlets, sheep counting, carpet bombing. Keep your head down, your body close to the ground. I'm counting seconds between cathedral crescendos across continents. The land hears every song and doesn't forget. And this is the second part called Prophet. Downtown, dehumanize, harmonizes a peaceful protester / eco-terrorist false dichotomy. When taught to social distance from sky gods, we invest in borders and businesses. COVID dines while the opioid epidemic feasts on homelessness. From stolen homes, the next body bag in this pattern. Since swine flu, crack, tuberculosis, alcohol, smallpox, the land is still holding this city. Small fries, supersize, substrata, sinking. Sometimes I think the land should drop this city. In the meantime, blacksmith machines forge wires to transmit the sound of missionary bell tolls. To remove our voice, the land has held this city. We purchase cords to retransmit our voice and fill streets with bodies, but still receive a pipeline. The land will hold inevitable spills, while the oil well supervisor shill pays the fine, kills the contract between land and ceremony. Preacher on the alleyway loudspeaker rattles, go back inside, you can breathe. I cannot. These fumes outside, a toxin, an accelerant. The prophets, an intoxicant, an angel dust kind of high. CEOs file into the church with their pamphlets, pastors, and prophets. Kneel in prayer, repent, repeat, mining jobs and opportunities. I hear the rhythm of this new world order. Casket drum beating a funeral procession for the land preparing to let us go. Want to see Joe? Stuff just makes me mad, and I have some like every year I at least write one big ass poem that's just like I'm so mad about this stuff. And now we're gonna do 2 in a row. So that was 2020. This one's 2019. Actually, I'm gonna try something with y'all, and I just thought of it today. And if it doesn't work out, it's totally chill. There's no pressure. That's my Pisces Mercury coming out. But so I have this line, and it goes like this: a word, just one, 5, 6, 5, 6. And I repeat this refrain quite a few times. And I was wondering if you guys would join me for that, like call and response 5, 6, 5, 6. And we'll try it one time, and then I'll go into the poem. So a word, just one, 5, 6, 5,
5,
6.
6, 5, 6.
Beautiful. Oh, I love you all on Zoom, but if y'all do that, I'm gonna get ripped. I'm gonna be ripped from this plane of existence. It is just out of time a little bit. I'm so sorry, but feel free to do it while you're muted. That also feels good. Yeah. This poem's called Toxicity. And we'll start it off like that. A word, just one, 5, 6, 5, 6. The planet, a gas fire. A cornucopia of colonial words to describe lit up. A wisp of olive gray smoke over granite. Somewhere between the sacred silence and sleep are natural deposits. The old gods had a use for this. Probably wasn't. Cars, generators, medical inserts, and Fisher-Price elephants in the plastic baby-proof corner in the room. A word, just one, 5, 6, 5, 6. Golden skyline, let me witness sunset past the witching hour. Let the spectra warm beds and crops and solar panels and the hearts of the 1%, standing in their mountain tall watchtowers, catching the horizon from cash-stacked vantage points. Flashlight reveries reflecting off the $5 million chandelier. Chuck nuts dangling from a bridge, 5, 6. I laid down on asphalt where ash fell beside a shell, undetonated. I stare right at our sun and don't blink. There are no pain receptors in the lenses of my eye. A word, just one, 5, 6, 5, 6. The sun falls off the edge and I cannot see myself tonight. Too many street lamps that keep the color of my shadow summit dormant. An eagle electrified by power lines. No ritual for the fallen feathers. The eaglets adopted and saved. Don't show gratitude for the technology or society that saved them. The nest is empty. The nest is empty. The nest is leveled, wood chips, more wood for their fires, loud neighbors. The tree tower knocked over in the land of the condor, the African Congo, and the second largest country in the world. There is no ceremony for whole fallen woodlands. This page Less than 1/10,000th the pulp to fell one tree, yet somehow I still feel responsible, somehow still feel at fault. A word, just one, 5, 6, 5, 6. Fold an origami fortune teller, set it with the names of uprising states, Iraq, Bolivia, Chile, Algeria, Hong Kong. I could continue, but I don't think I could tell you with certainty who's right and who's wrong. I mean, it does seem simple to us when we Google it, one side tyrannical and the other side rebels. But I'm not in those countries. So if it were here and the liberals were the tyrant, the conservatives, the revolutionaries, would other countries report a liberation? A word, just one, 5, 6, 5, 6. I laid down on asphalt where ash fell beside a shell undetonated. I laid down on asphalt where ash fell beside a shell undetonated. I laid down on asphalt where ash fell beside a shell undetonated. A word, just one, 5, 6. A word, just one, 11, 12. A word, just one, 17, 18, 18, 18, 18 times I have died, lived out 2 cats' lives. Inhale toxin, digest toxin, read toxin, watch toxin, feel toxin, etch skin, tuck toxin right in, dream of toxin, wield toxin as aggression, bleed toxin, seed toxin, believe toxin, grieve and grieve and grieve toxin. Listen to this poison. This result of eating seeds is a pastime activity. I don't have an excuse, nor do I have a solution. Only words, corruption, sunbeam, toxicity, snowfall, derision, and smokestack. The old gods had a use for all of this. 5, 6, 5, 6. Masicho. Am I past my time yet? Do I have enough time to close this out with a poem? Yeah, beautiful. That was really fun. Thank you all for joining in. You did great. I never do this call and response stuff super intentionally. Like I do music and stuff too. I'll say some things about myself and I'll be like, and now I have to plug. You can find my stuff online. Just search up Tawahum. But anyway, I do music stuff and sometimes people just join in and I don't expect it. And I'm like, that's cool. But it's a vulnerable thing for me to ask the audience to join me. So thank you so much. That was really fun. What do you call it? Yeah, really grateful that I got to do this reading here. Poets Corner is always like this. I think this is my 3rd time with Poets Corner. Always a lovely time. I think last time we did it digitally and the time before that was over at Massey. Yeah. It's always just really lovely, real intimate. I love crowds like this because we're all just like right here in this room together. And like, if I'm feeling like a kind of way, oh, y'all must be feeling a kind of way for sure, especially with how I'm yelling, you know, like there's not a lot of space for it to like echo out into the wilderness. So thank you for enduring it with me. Thank you for holding it with me. Thank you for holding me. I hope I've held you today. I have one last poem for y'all. And this is the only one where I'm opening up my book for this. And it's called Inner City Owl. And I also really love the location of this university because it's like 2 streets over from where I saw that owl. And there was legit an owl in the Vancouver downtown core. It's hanging out. I saw it one night. And then I saw all these Daily Hive articles about like pictures of the owl like diving in traffic to like catch rats and stuff, like crazy stuff, wild stuff. The owl don't give a shit. And this poem is for that beautiful owl. Talons deep in the gnarled branch of new growth over concrete causeways, this bird don't give a hoot. BMWs, Ford F-350s, and ugly Porsche Cayennes rush under claw. Inner city owl marks them all, beware. Hoo, hoo. She unlatches branch, opens wings, and as sure as moonlight still shines despite light pollution, this owl does defecate on the most bougie cars. Wide-eyed, she twists her neck for a chittering squirrel, a relic of that pristine mountainscape her ancestors used to hunt through. Lush, verdant, mile-spanning green of cedar, blanket ceremony of land upon land. Inner city owl, in the outer wilderness. Fresh air, head tilts up to breathe in. She arches and dives. Wide eyes narrow, her beak breaks squirrel flesh, and she feasts. Moonlight dims, and concrete fades back into view. Talons deep in squirrel guts and neck twisting to the beat of car honks, sirens, and the clip-clop of stilettos from a red-dressed drunken mess and her entourage of well-suited men, obnoxious, viand masculine. The bird hoots, marking them all for an accident early next week. Taking off, inner city owl's gray feathers fly as she makes her ascent like a moth to the moon unreachable. The wind screeches into her mouth, rinsing out the taste of squirrel and exhaust. Merci, ciao, y'all. Big love. I guess I have to stay up here for questions. This is my book. It's called Cut to Fortress. I got a bunch of copies. They're $20 each. I paid my publisher a lot of money for my own books. So please buy them from me so I can recoup my costs. Yeah, what's that?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do we have questions?
Thank you.
Do you have your hand up for a question?
No, I'm just fluttering.
I definitely take questions from the Zoom folks too if they have them.
Leave Evelyn will manage
Cool.
those for us.
Beautiful.
Do you have any sentiments?
Do I have any story joke? I don't. No, I'm too angsty for the to have just a call and response joke. You know what I mean? It always just comes out randomly. Like I'll be talking shit about Surrey and then I have something funny to say, but I don't have any straight up jokes. Yeah.
Were you able to write in prison?
Yeah, I was. You didn't hear anything that I wrote in prison here, but
Right.
yeah, the 20 no, this book I wrote 2018, 2017. I was in jail in 2020, and that's what everyone, they're like, you went to jail and now your book's out. Wow. No, they're not really there's stuff about land protection in here because it's I'm passionate about that, always have been, but I can't have written about being in jail because I wrote this before that happened. That should some of that will be coming out in an album I'm working on, actually, a music album that's all about court and land protection work, and that should be coming out sometime next year. So stay posted for that. Check me out online, stuff like that. God, I hate plugging myself. So weird. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm tempted to ask.
Yeah, please. An open book.
Also being a KPU graduate.
Yeah.
Probably a lot earlier than you. Way back the days when Langley had no bus access.
Oh, wow.
I'm curious, so much of your poetry really, at least what you've read tonight, reminds me of living in Surrey. Is that place orientation a big part of what you do? Is that a conscious thing you bring into the poetry, or? I
mean, when it comes to this book and the stuff I've written since 2019, or 2019 and earlier, I graduated in 2019. It's constantly making the transit from Vancouver all the way out to Surrey. At a certain point, I lived in Surrey for a few years. I moved to Vancouver. This land, Surrey has a different kind of green. It's as soon as you cross the water into Surrey, the green has just a slightly different shade. It's so interesting. It's very, very subtle. So yeah, I'm very inspired by that land that I grew up in. That land's always holding me. It's definitely across this book because I wrote a lot of it while I was at KPU. Kwantlen's probably changed a lot since you were there as a student. The creative writing faculty there is really kick-ass. We're really supportive of me as an Indigenous student. And yeah, that Kwantlen was a very inspiring space. So inspiring that coming out of university, sometimes I'm what the hell is my practice anymore? I don't have a class to get A's in. Weird. Yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Have you ever shared your powerful poetry with youth?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? If you have, and if you haven't have that experience, have you ever thought of it?
Yeah.
The power of words and imagery and prose for young people just to be impacted and share space with that.
It's an interest of mine, and I've done it for a few years. Like I was like poet in residence at like this Delta high school called Burnsview. And there's like a teacher there who's like really into getting the students into spoken word. And so she got me to be their little mini poet in residence for a couple months. That was really lovely. Going into classes and like hitting up 35 students at a time with the poetry was really fun, really scary. Like if I think it's a little intimidating that I'm like in the room with all y'all right now, like you get a bunch of like 15-year-olds and they're frightening, man. Like they're real frightening. Like they take no prisoners, you know? Like I think there was one time I was on stage and I was like just trying to connect with them. I was like, yo, how do y'all get your hair to like not be so frizzy? And this girl from the back was just like, I take a shower. And I was like, oh my God. No weakness. I can show no weakness in this space. But that's like the classroom. But once they started coming back every week, it was like they started to warm up to me a little bit. It was really, really good. I run a mentorship called Telling It Bent. I'm actually taking a year off. It might be a few years off, but I ran that for the last 3 years. It's a queer mentorship for folks who are like 16 to 25. And we talk playwriting, we talk poetry, we go through it for like 4 months. That's the kind of mentorship I love the most, is where I get to like engage with the same students all the time. I'm definitely not like a high school teacher type, but like doing that deep mentorship, not just like getting to share the poetry and the inspiration, but like if folks want to be artists, like what it looks like to actually make that a business of yours. It's fun. It's like shitty to have to share that kind of stuff with the youth, but they always like, they're like, wow, I didn't know how to submit a poem before. So like that kind of stuff really lights me up. So yeah, that's a long answer to your question. I started as a youth as well. Not like a young youth, but like a 24-year-old youth. And Urban Native Youth Association threw me up for mentorship. And it was like that mentorship that allowed me to have a career. Like I did a mentorship there, and then we did our first performance. And then it was just like, there were a few people in the room who started booking me right from that performance. It was really amazing. So I hope to keep paying that forward, but I'm taking a couple of years off because really put myself at workshops and mentorship, and it kind of drains the creative battery, so to speak. So yeah, anyway, yeah.
Do we have any follow-up questions?
Cool. Thank you all so much. Masicho, hi.
All that's left for me to say is thank you so much for our readers who did wonderful performances tonight. Thank you for everyone who participated in the open mic, and thank you to everyone who came and shared with us either online by being here or by coming out face to face and being with us in this space. We appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. And let's not forget that both of our readers have books for sale tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Good.